What's happening against the Palestinians is pure evil. Once upon a time, it was perfectly acceptable and normal to be critical about pretty much anything. What we found recently, though, is that doesn't work when it comes to criticizing Israel in the genocide against the Palestinian people. Today, two great minds, Candace Owens and Dave Smith, discuss this in a bit more detail. Let's take a look.
If you're telling me I feel bad about seeing a dead baby and that's offensive, then I need to read a lot more about what's going on here because something evil is happening.
When I tweeted genocide is always wrong, and Dave Rubin just spazzed, and I just was like, what is happening right now? Why are you freaking out? Completely had it wrong. I wasn't even talking about Israel in that tweet. I was talking about Brian Mass and something that he said in Congress. But the way people responded, the fact that it got like 40,000 retweets, and I'm going, this used to be a totally acceptable thing to say that everyone agreed on, that we shouldn't be aspiring to genocide. And suddenly it's like this hot topic and people were covering me all the time. And from that moment on, I was just on the hit list. You know what I'm talking about? The hit list, where you've said a thing, we don't accept the thing. So now we're just going to, I guess, try to psychologically wear you down by writing hit pieces of things that you didn't say to try to convince general public that you're the crazy one and we're not just psychopaths that believe in genocide.
Yeah, being against genocide shouldn't be too controversial.
But it is. It is today. And you are, I think, obviously, you are right at the heart of it. You're now the Jewish person who's saying common sense, like, hey, this is kind of crazy. Like, America shouldn't be pledging allegiance to everything that Israel wants to do. And I think that's what's landed you in some hot water.
First and foremost, I think what Israel's doing to the Palestinians is wrong. I also don't think this is good for Jewish people. I think this is creating a whole lot of resentment against them.
Like, I don't believe that we are justified in murdering 1 million Iraqi civilians looking for weapons of mass destruction that never existed. By the way, they're losing their creativity. Every time they want to go to war, they're kind of saying the same stuff over and over again. I just saw what's his face in an interview saying like, well, Iran, they've got nuclear, they are really close. They've got these weapons. I'm like, didn't we already run this with Iraq? And didn't you already tell us that we had to do this, like BB speech? Like we've got to do this, like to keep the world free. Tell me one thing that got better, safer, or freer in America since we decided that we were going to go to war in the Middle East perpetually. And the answer is nothing. We got to keep bombing the Middle East because for your safety and for your freedom. And I'm like, I think by every metric, we're less safe. You're looking at like just crime rates and we're less free.
There was a regional expert who testified before Congress in 2002, and he said that he guaranteed that if we overthrew Saddam Hussein, there would be massive positive reverberations throughout the region. There's Benjamin Netanyahu. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's a regional expert. So I'm just waiting. I mean, it's going to happen at some point, but it may take a little more time.
First, they thought it was Iraq, but then he testified also that it was if we did it to Syria. Then also, I think he said Libya.
He mentioned Libya,
But now we're at Iran. So this time,
well, he did mention Iran in that testimony. He always wanted us to overthrow Iran, but he's still on that one because we did the other ones for him.
It's just this last one.
Yeah, that's right.
And then America is going to be so much freer and so much safer. Why does it feel like we're just being lied to? And so the question then becomes for me and everyone who's logically thinking through this and realizing that our country is in full decline. Which country is getting better? Because it's not ours.
Israel, Candace. That's the only country that's benefiting in all of this. Dave's opening statement was right on the money. Just recently, we all saw that Palestinian child immensely malnutritioned. Instead of empathy, there was backlash from many journalists who even until recently said it was AI generated. Some journalists went out to call the child's parents fat and overweight. We provide the evidence and they deny the evidence. The hit list that Candace is referring to is absolutely true. We've seen doctors, healthcare professionals, public figures, journalists lose their jobs when criticizing Israel. There was even an article of a US Jewish Institute, and I quote, purging their staff of anti-Zionists. If a Jew is losing his job for criticizing Israel, then what chance do we have?
That small country has been able to garner so much power over the American politicians, right? Over the American political scene. Forget politicians. We would also talk about the publications. There is clearly a neocon movement. The news stations, there was clearly a neocon movement. And you just wonder, because I came at this truly as a conservative. I am a proud isolationist. So I've held the same perspective that while our nation is in decline, we should not be sending any money overseas. And that was totally fine in the conservative movement. Like everyone agreed with me and everyone agreed with me on Afghanistan. But then on the Israel stuff, they're just like, no, like this is different. This is a different carve out. And I'm going, why and how?
Every single neocon but had the support of every right-wing talk radio show host in America, like the entire Conservatism Inc., through all of the Bush years and all of the Obama years, had no problem demonizing Muslims in the most vicious ways. I mean, it was all, oh yeah, I mean, do you remember the biggest thing in the world was that they were putting a little mosque a few blocks away from where the World Trade Center had collapsed? It had nothing, they made this out like they're replacing the towers with a mosque, and all the Sharia law is coming to America. And when they were trying to sell the next war, they were fine with like, be really worried about radical Islam. This was the big criticism of Obama from every dumb Marco Rubio Republican. He won't even say radical Islamic jihad or something. As Obama is dropping every bomb ever on the Muslim world, their complaint was that he's not going hard enough against radical Islam. Well, I mean, look, we have 9/11, and we lost our collective minds as a result of it, and went off and fought 7 wars over the next 20 years, you know? And like, that's one of the points I try to make a lot when people talk about like how evil these Muslims are and how, you know, like how terrorist the Palestinians are. And it's like, hey, listen, just like before you go judging a whole group of people on these standards, just at least be fair here and go, look, like we had one 9/11 and we responded this way. Imagine that was your whole life, like your entire life. You know, it's like, it's not to say like, you know, that doesn't mean like, oh, you're justifying Hamas or something like that. I'm just saying, at least think about this, okay? Those people in Hamas who broke out of Gaza on October 7th, almost all of them, I maybe there's an exception here, but I almost guarantee that every last one of them, that was their first time ever leaving Gaza. They had never been outside this 5-mile wide prison. You know what I mean? Like, just think about that for a second. For everyone, if they want to read this, go read A Clean Break, A New Strategy for Securing the Realm. And it was written by Richard Pearl and David Wormser to Benjamin Netanyahu in 1996, when he first became prime minister. This was their letter to Benjamin Netanyahu on what the new strategy for Israel ought to be. And the new strategy for Israel, what is regime change in Iraq? Making deals, bribing off the surrounding Arab countries so you don't have to do this silly peace process thing that every US president had been insisting you do. And so that's, you know, this is a huge part of why we've embarked on these terror wars over the last 20 plus years.
Your perspective is we're doing this because it's actually securing Israel.
Dave makes a great point. Let's be honest here, guys. I don't think any other group has faced more persecution than the Muslims in terms of war, also day-to-day straight-up discrimination. He then goes on to make another great point. The US had one 9/11, which, let's be honest, has its own questions. Building 7 went down for no apparent reason. There isn't even video footage of a plane going into the Pentagon, just a flash. And also the fact that construction workers saw explosions go off on each floor just before the towers went down. Let's not forget the day before when tankers fueled up in huge quantities and then the video footage was deleted. Anyway, as a result of that, 1 million Iraqis lost their lives. October the 7th, another huge question mark. It takes 45 minutes by helicopter to get from Jerusalem to the Gaza border, and nobody came for 6 hours. Yeah, right. But anyway, as a result, all Palestinians now must suffer in the worst ways imaginable. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Support me by liking and subscribing, and I'll see you all on the next video. Peace out.